All right, welcome everyone to Boom, Bust, and BS.
Well, it's going to be interesting, I guess, Christian, isn't it? Yeah, it's our first inaugural episode.
Really? All right, Anthony, so let's get started. Who the hell are you?
I'm just a guy who likes to ski. No, my name is Anthony Milewski. Been in the industry for 20 years, worked at hedge funds, private equity firms, founded companies, taken them public, taken them private, had some spectacular wins, had some equally spectacular blowups. So, been around, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I also like to fish by the looks of it as well.
Yeah, there's some fishing rods back there.
And just for listeners, I'm Christian, and yeah, I ran around West Africa as a journalist, former CNN West Africa journalist, covered everything from energy, commodities, and director of various companies, consultant for a wide spectrum of mining and mineral companies, and obviously the Oregon Group.
Well, here we are. And I guess, this kind of kicking off, I think the reason we chose this week is because next week is PDAC, BMO. The big industry conference happened this week.
And I suppose the way I see this work is you're like the greed is good Gordon Gekko guy, and I'm the sweet, innocent retail investor. What the hell is PDAC? What is it? Tell me. I have no idea.
There are these series of conferences, and they have different kind of natures. Some of them are bank-held conferences, and then some of them are industry-wide conferences. Some are specialty conferences, and PDAC is the prospectors. What is it? I have to look exactly what it is, but it's a conference that's been held for decades. And whilst there is a convention and people do go to a convention floor, what it really amounts to is investors, principals, CEOs, entrepreneurs all kind of descend on Toronto for a week of deal making, capital raising, and it really sets the tone for the coming months and really the year in terms of what's happening in our industry.
We should go around and actually find out how many people actually know what PDAC stands for, because I can't remember either.
I think it'd be pretty. I think it'd be a pretty low number of people. Unless I got someone to look at delivery on live. Yeah, no, I think I like it's prospectors, developers, something or other. So I don't know. I forgot, but and like the conference is different things for different people. And I would say, like for me, sometimes you're trying to raise money, but I think most of the time, from where I sit, I think you're really putting together deals, joint ventures, and thinking about the ways that you can advance the companies that you're either running or invested in. But if you're a retail investor, it might be your opportunity, especially if you're Toronto based, to meet management teams that otherwise are not very accessible. So I think a conference this size, and it's tens of thousands of people, I think a conference this size is a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Every year there's like a different vibe. And I have to be honest, it's just been getting more and more positive. Just like the vibe on the ground amongst the miners and the companies, it's just been like more, obviously how much stuff we've got going on right now,
I think this year's gonna be gold. Like look, we have a little bit of a copper thing going on, but gold sitting at 3,000. The equities haven't really meaningfully moved yet, and I think this is going to be the gold conference this year. That's kind of my take.
I'm going to be interested to go and see, all those like the minor minerals that no one really ever talks about, the gallium, germanium, the antimonies.
That's a great point. Like they've had huge runs. Like look at antimony and gallium, germanium, tungsten now. With the refining being primarily in China, they've had a huge run. But the one of the challenges when you think about investing, and I think about putting these deals together or picking deals that I'm going to invest in, when you have a gold deal or you have a copper deal, everyone kind of understands gold or copper. You don't even have to be in the space to kind of just get what gold is. When someone says gallium, they have no sense for what that does. And so, while these metals are having this really big moment with the world geopolitics and Trump and everything that's going on, I think one of the reasons why some of the equities haven't performed as well as you might think is because there's a barrier to entry. Like, what does gallium do? Yeah, I can tell, or germanium or antimony, I can tell you that 95% of it is refined in China, and you could accept that on its face value as being true, but then you still don't really know what it does. Like antimony is a hardener for bullets and a fire retardant, and and some of these others are used in chips and so on. So I think that story is a really good story, and the metals are performing well, but I don't think we've seen the equities have that corresponding performance yet.
Well, and obviously, just for the retail guys, I mean, some of it's just very difficult to get invested in.
There have been stories. I mean, like, in antimony, you had the story that they put together. I think it started at 20 cents, went to $1.10. It's trading at 60 cents now. People are putting together tungsten stories. So, they are, that is happening, but I think it takes a lot more effort on the part of management teams to really educate potential investors. And that's why it just can take longer for those stories to take off. I mean, when we were running, it's funny, when we were running Cobalt 27, I was just happened to be looking. So this is, mind you, I mean, it's 2025 now. This is like 7 years ago. And that stock, it went from nothing all the way up to, I think, $14. At the time we were spending like $1.5 million on marketing alone. And this is 7 years ago. And that's the amount of money we were spending on Cobalt for education. And in addition to that money, if you think about it, at the time, Cobalt was all the news. And so you were getting free marketing from all these other sources. And so that just gives you kind of a feel for how much money in a hot market we still had to spend to kind of spread that word and educate people.
There's always government guys at these things. And I suspect, what do you think? A lot of chat about Trump at this stuff?
I mean, it's driving all the narrative. I don't know. I think the more interesting government news is is the U.S. government going to fund these projects? Trump, I think yesterday, maybe, or the day before, on copper came out and said, we're going to create a U.S. copper industry. Good luck with that. Hopefully the ore bodies are there. It just, is every NGO from here to there going to sue you and block it and do this and that? But so I don't know if it's as much about Trump per se as it's going to be just about the funding of these things and, can they get built? And that's kind of the angle. And I'm sure that, all the different U.S. agencies will be floating around talking with people.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I've always found is and this goes to the problem of Trump, is it's how do you fix the core problem of pricing? And look, every time I go to PDAC, almost every meeting, that's where the conversation goes. Like, you've got the dirt cheap minerals being pumped out from China processing, China mines, nickel out in Indonesia, all that sort of stuff. And then you got people in the West saying, we need our own supply chains, we need to secure them, and then they want to invest in them, and they just get swamped. They just get swamped out by the cheap. Indonesia just basically ups the supply. Price crashes for a little bit, and all these investments just get tanked. And they still haven't figured it out. They haven't figured out how to deal with this.
I mean, I think the only way is going to be if the government actually intervenes. If they really want that supply chain, if you allow the free market to guide the investment flows, what's the S&P up right now? Like 54% over the last, 12, 18 months. So with 100% liquidity. So, it has to be attractive. And that's why I think gold is kind of coming into this period of interest. It's $3,000. A lot of these people are producing at $1,200. So the cash flow is just going to be astronomical. And we've started to see that in some of the quarterlies and what have you. But, maybe it's just as simple as it has to become an attractive investment. And we're going to see, because if gold remains at this price and the free cash flow profile of these companies just explodes, especially the majors, and literally no one cares, I don't know, then we have to go rethink what we're doing with our lives.
Yeah, also we're just being crypto. That'll be the problem.
Maybe we should start a crypto site. I mean, maybe that's the future. I don't know. Certainly crypto has taken a lot of speculative investment out of the space. There's no question about that. But I think people want to make money. And at the end of the day, if the sector becomes attractive because of that free cash flow profile, people are going to come flooding in.
Okay, well, we're both going to be there. I think last thing, boom, bust, or BS, PDAC this year. What do you reckon?
I think it's a boom. I think people are excited about gold. I think we're not to the BS part of the cycle. I think the stuff that's going to get funded, historic assets, historic drill results, maybe historically operating assets. But I think there's going to be a certain energy about gold this year. That's my take.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think PDAC's going to be booming. But some more than the others, and there will be a little bit of BS. There's always a little bit of BS.
It's a specialty.
All right, excellent. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you next time.
And come join the journey with us. We're going to learn how to do this too. So yeah, and through time we plan to have guests on and hear people's views and what have you. So yeah, join us for the journey.